Hey, what's up guys? I've been using this NordicTrack for a little over 9 months now. I bought it in November of 2020. My wife has also used it and I've used it pretty regularly, so I feel confident in giving my opinion and just letting you know whether or not I think this is a good machine. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm going to go over the cons, the pros, and then at the end just kind of explain whether or not I think it's a good machine and if I would recommend for you to buy it. If you're looking for how to assemble it, I'll put a link in the description or I'll have a little card come up at the top here. I made a video on how to assemble it, so go to that video if that's all you're wanting to know is how to assemble it and you just bought it. But if you're curious about the pros, cons, and if I'd recommend it, let's jump into that. Before I mention anything about the cons, I do think it's important for you to know I've never owned another treadmill, so I don't have anything to compare it to. So just keep that in mind when I express my opinion about this machine. So the first big con that I need to address is it arrived broken. Now, it wasn't broken bad in any way. It was this right here was just a little plastic piece of trim that goes on the foot that really doesn't do anything other than cover up some of the frame. It's cosmetic, so not a big deal. We did notify NordicTrack about it and they offered for us to send this one back for a new one. I didn't want to deal with the shipping and moving it around, so we're just like, hey, don't worry about it. It's fine, not a big deal. And it hasn't been a big deal. But just thought I'd mention that, and I wouldn't say that's NordicTrack's fault. I bought this on Amazon, so could be shipping, could be a million things, but it did arrive broken. Just thought I should mention that, but everything else works and it's been working for 9 months without any major issues. I noticed a comment on one of my video about the assembly was like asking, hey, I've heard it's loud, is it loud? And it's like, huh, I never thought about it being loud, but yeah, it's pretty loud. If you have this in your bedroom and your spouse is going to be sleeping in the morning and you're going to get on this, like, it's definitely going to wake them up. It's loud, but like I said, I've never compared it to another treadmill, so I would just thought like that's how all treadmills sounded. You know, when I go into a public gym and see treadmills, like, you can definitely hear them. So I don't think it's any louder, but again, I've never, side-by-side comparison of treadmills. It's as loud as I expected it to be. That's all I'll really say about that. So we just moved from our last house to this house and we hired movers to move it, but they did make a note like this is going to be one of the hardest things to move because it was in a basement. They had to get it up some stairs. They did disassemble part of it and just had mentioned that it was kind of hard to move. So it does fold up nicely for you, but if you plan on moving soon, it's definitely not a one-man job. You're going to need some help, and it's a big heavy piece of machinery, but I figure all treadmills are hard to move, so I wouldn't really say it's like a con relative to other treadmills, just a treadmill con in general. Now, the only other con I would say, which is kind of more like me throwing in my jabs with a gripe, is it does have some smart features, which is nice. Overall it's pretty basic. I'll get some close-up shots of what it looks like and stuff, but when you first set it up, you have to like register it through an app online, and basically they're trying to get you to use their app and pay for a subscription for it. Now, I believe you get a free trial, or maybe it's even free, but I tried it for a little bit and I really just disliked the whole experience. That's my personal opinion. I do see a lot of benefit for some people with the extra pushing of just like watching a video that's like just a little bit farther, come on, you can do it. I do think that helps and is very motivational. But when I tried it, they're like, oh yeah, you can try all these free ones, but it seemed like everyone I clicked on was like, oh, this is a paid one, oh, that's a paid one, oh, you need to pay this, and it just seemed like it was designed more to take my money than to help me work out. And that's where I just kind of got frustrated. I just felt like, just be upfront with it in the beginning, and maybe I wouldn't have felt that way, but it's like, oh, something free, cool, I'll give it a shot. And it's like, no, it's just like a money grabbing machine. And maybe after you pay for it, it's nice, but I'm like, just my way my brain works, I'm not gonna pay for something I don't need. Honestly, what I do really like is there's this shelf right here. I throw my iPad on this and just watch some videos, some YouTube, whatever it is, and just my focus is on that, and I walk on the treadmill. But long story short is I didn't personally like the app. I could definitely see that as being a pro, which I'll mention here in a minute. It does have a lot of cool features and all the bells and whistles that you'd expect, at the same time being basic but having those features. But I just didn't like the whole UI, the user interface and experience. It wasn't for me. All right, so other than that, with the cons, it every once in a while will make a weird noise, but it goes away. Like sometimes when I'm doing the incline, decline, as it's going down, it'll make like a pop sound. I couldn't get it to happen on video. It doesn't happen very often, but it'll make some weird noises. Nothing detrimental. Like I said, I've never had another machine, so I don't know if that's normal or something to worry about, but I've been using it pretty regularly for 9 months. It hasn't broken, it works well, and I feel like that's a good segue into the pros. Biggest thing is I do think it's durable. You know, I like to drink coffee in the morning, and that's when I walk on this, and I'll put my coffee here, which is nice, it has a space to do so, but then I'll spill it onto the mat, which I know isn't good for it, but it hasn't like ruined it. I'll clean it up and stuff. Long story short is I've put a lot of wear and tear on it. My kids play on it, and it hasn't broken or had any issues after 9 months of use. So I think that says a lot about the machine. I would put my stamp of approval on it, saying that it is durable. Now, one thing to note is I've ran a few times on it, and that is another pro, is I think it's plenty powerful enough for 90% of people. Unless you're like an athletic runner that's gonna be running like super fast for a long period of time, I don't know if this will be enough power for you, but as fast as that I feel comfortable running, it could keep up with me. It can do much more than what I'm capable of, and I feel like I'm a decent representation of the general public, and it's plenty strong enough, powerful enough for me. But again, if you're a super athlete, then you might want to consider something a little bit more powerful or fancy. So pro is, it did have everything that I would ever want out of the machine. I do like that it's basic. You know, I just use it like go faster, go slower, incline more, incline less. But it can track a lot of different things, like how many calories you've burnt, how far you're walking. I don't know if they're accurate or anything, but it is a good thing to look at, like, okay, I'm just gonna go another quarter of a mile or another 5 minutes, whatever the case is, and it does help push it there. But you can hook it up to your iPad so it plays it through the speakers or whatever, you know, device that you're using. It does have an app that works with it. If you want to pay money and get into the ecosystem, you can use it. And I do think that is really psychologically helpful for the right kind of person. So another pro for me is just the design. It's really easy. You can see I can lift this up, and as soon as you get it to a height, it locks in via this, which I feel is safe even with my kids playing around it. It saves some space, obviously, if you put it up, if you're tight on space. And even if they do release it by hitting this, it comes down relatively slowly. And as it gets closer to the ground, it even slows down more. And I just thought that was pretty nifty. The other cool thing is you can move this by yourself, especially if you're on a hardwood, even on carpet, because there's these wheels right here. So you get it up like that, and I grab this bar, and then you tilt it back. And now you can actually move it around. You can push it forward to get it, you know, across the room. If you're gonna move it over stairs, you're definitely gonna want help and 2 people, but it's a good design, in my opinion. I do like it. So you have these adjustable padding right here where you have it on or you have it off, where it makes it softer or stiffer. I haven't really used it, to be honest. I just keep it on off, and I haven't had an issue with it, so I can't really say much about that. I think it helps a little bit, but I really don't think it makes that much of a difference. Maybe it does. Again, I don't feel like I should really be talking about it since I haven't used it extensively. This belt will kind of move and drift on you a little bit over time, and you put an Allen wrench in this hole here and then turn the Allen wrench to get it back to center. So an important thing is, if you get this machine, don't lose that Allen wrench. I would almost put it in the cubby hole here or tape it to the machine, because that does happen. It takes a really long time. I think I've adjusted it maybe 2 or 3 times, but it does tend to happen. Just be aware of it, and it's super easy to adjust and get it back into the center. Like I said, I don't have any other treadmills to compare it to, but it feels like it's plenty big enough for me for walking or jogging. It does what I need it to do. All right, so now let's get to the best part of this video. Do I think you should buy it? Would I recommend this machine? Now, I want to just have a little word of caution, understanding human psychology. As humans, myself included, we get really excited about something and want to jump into it, and we're all about it, but that excitement and passion tends to fade over time, and ultimately, we're creatures of habit. And the reason I bring that up is I feel like most of the treadmills I see out there in my day-to-day that are in a person's home are just a big, heavy, clunky machine that builds up dust and is basically like a huge paperweight sitting in their basement or garage or wherever it is, and it really doesn't get much use. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's totally normal, but really what I'm getting at and trying to like warn people about is, if you're the person who already runs outside or walks outside or goes to the gym a lot, and you're wanting to get this for convenience, like, hey, it has saved me a trip going to the gym, I can get my day going faster, whatever it is, like, you already have that habit of using a treadmill or walking or working out, then I think you should absolutely buy this machine. I don't think you'll be disappointed, and it really will be a big convenience factor. If you're on the other side of that, where you're hoping that, hey, when I buy this machine, I see it every day, it's going to motivate me and it's going to make me use it. You know, if I invest and spend that money, I'm going to feel guilty not using it. So I'm going to do this for my health and it's going to make me work out more. I totally get that logic. It makes a ton of sense to me, and there is a little bit of truth there. But if that's the case, I would say don't buy the machine. Wait a little bit. Create the habit before you do it. Like maybe go to a public gym or just walk outside. If it happens to be summertime, you know, see, hey, can I keep it up for 2-3 months just walking outside or running outside? And then when winter comes, I'm going to go ahead and get the treadmill because it's going to get cold and I don't want to be outside. And I already know that I can keep that habit going, because unfortunately, just human psychology, what's probably going to happen is you'll get it, you'll use it a little bit, and then a year goes by and it barely gets used anymore. And I can say that from my own personal experience. When I first got this machine, we use it a lot more. So that's my opinion on whether or not you should get the treadmill. If you're gonna get a treadmill and just wanting to know if this is a good treadmill, after 9 months of use, I think it's a good treadmill. I don't really use a lot of treadmills, so it's hard for me to say, but yeah, I would say absolutely buy it. I have no issues with it. It's been a great machine for me and I definitely recommend it. Now to address the thumbnail, I did lose 20 pounds and I would say that this was responsible for half of that. You know, part of it was my diet, the other part was actually just burning extra calories every day. So I know human psychology, like I couldn't make a huge change. If I said, oh, I'm gonna run for 2 miles every day, that would never happen. I'd maybe do it for a couple days and then I would be done and just burnt out. So I was like, you know, what's something that's feasible that I can really do? And it's like, I can walk a mile each day. Walking is super easy. I'll just put on a YouTube and walk. I mean, I can do that. If I can't, then I've got bigger problems. That's something that I think I can commit to and do. So I tried to do that as often as I could, and like I said, in the beginning, I was doing it every single day. Then it turned into 4 times a week, then 3 times a week, and now I haven't used this thing in a couple weeks. So maybe I'm just saying from my own personal experience, but if you're anything like me, that's kind of what's probably gonna happen with this machine, unless you're an avid runner or somebody that already is in that habit. I don't think it's gonna last more than a year where you're gonna use the machine. But if you're curious in my personal story, that's all I did. I did put it on an incline about 4 to 7, so it made the walking a little bit harder. And I would try to do at least a mile or like 250 calories on there, and I would break quite a big sweat. But doing that day in and day out, you know, I noticed, I looked at my Apple Watch, which tells me, you know, about how many calories I burn every day just walking around and stuff. And it was pretty consistent up until January of last year. And then after I started doing the treadmill, I could see it definitely boosted up. So it was like, hey, every single day I'm burning just a little bit more calories, but over 7 months that added up to 20 pounds. The other part, the other half was my diet. And again, I knew, hey, I can't make a drastic change. If I try to go vegan, that's gonna last like 2 weeks and then I'm gonna go right back to where I was. What's something very small that I can do and keep up? And one thing was, I drank soda, and I knew drinking soda is like not the best thing. That is something I can cut. Just stop drinking soda, see how long I can keep that going. And I would drink maybe, you know, 1 to 3 sodas a day, so I stopped drinking soda. So now the amount of calories I ate went down just a little bit, and the amount of calories I burnt went up just a little bit, but that was enough over a long period of time for me to lose some weight. So I'm not giving advice, you know yourself better than anybody, but I'm just saying my personal experience and story. Hopefully it does help somebody out there, and just my opinion on this and like how I used it as a tool to lose weight. But honestly, right now it's kind of a big paperweight. You can see we just moved and it doesn't really fit in this area. I'll eventually move it up to the garage, which, back to that con, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. The thing's big and heavy. If you thought this was a good video, let YouTube know by like, commenting, or subscribing, and that'll basically just put it at the top. So when someone's looking for a review, it's like, hey, this review is good relative to the other ones. That's the only way YouTube knows. And or if you just like me and appreciate me taking the time, that's all I ask is like, comment, or subscribe. And if you thought it was garbage, then give it a thumbs down too. Thanks for watching. See you next time.